Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Bella Qiao. I'm a trade commissioner based in Beijing, responsible for the gaming sector. I'm delighted to have Mr. Zhao from Perfect World today. Zhao is the Director of Overseas Investment. As a founding member and chairman of the Global Cloud Gaming Alliance, Perfect World aims to build a cloud gaming ecosystem consists of cloud gaming platforms, content service providers, game developers, and publishers. Today, Zhao will give us an overview of China's cloud gaming market, identify opportunities for foreign game studios, and highlight some of the technical and policy barriers in this industry. So for your questions during the session, please use the text box below, and we will try to address your questions during the Q&A session. Now let's welcome Mr. Zhao. Over to you, Ding.
Hey, thanks, guys. It's a great pleasure speaking today. It's a great pleasure speaking today. So my name is Dean. Basically, I run the global investment team for Perfect World. So for those of you who are not familiar with for Perfect World, so we are basically the third largest gaming or entertainment company is in China. So we do movies, we do TV shows, and primarily our main focus is on gaming. So we have overseas PC console team as well as mobile teams in China, and we do publishing, mobile PC, as well as production. So today, my topic will be primarily addressing the cloud gaming in China. So as we all know that China cloud-based gaming is basically going on a different pace versus the rest of the world. So I think it's a great opportunity for me to take today's time to run you through what we have learned in the industries and how we can actually prepare the CPs if you're interested in the China cloud-based gaming. So there will be sort of three aspects of things I'm going to be talking about today. So then there will be the general market prospects, and then the industry overviews, and lastly, that what Perfect World has positioned ourselves in the cloud-based gaming. So for this chart, just give us a general overview of what the market size is. So basically, starting from 2018, those are basically just some trials going on. So what's important to really see this graph is not the dollar figures, rather is the number of people who are going to be participating and using cloud-based gaming based on projections. So this year, end of last year, we projected, actually the general report consensus reached a number which they say that it will be 133 million people will be using cloud-based gaming. I think that number is a little bit overrated, but I think the trend is on the right track. But do remember that there are 1.3 billion basically cell phones in the markets. So by the end of 2023, there will be at least 700 million people who will be using cloud-based streaming to basically enjoy the contents of gaming. So at the end of the day, we got to really try to understand in China that who really drives or who really needs the cloud-based gaming here. So obviously, the number one thing is the players without console. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Chinese market, is that the console market literally doesn't really exist. So as we all know, the Sony has about 100 million hardware. It's basically on the market, and Xbox has about, based on the latest stats, about 16 million. So China has slightly less than 6 million number of consoles basically floating on the markets. Most people just never really seen the quality of consoles, console games and contents. So all these players will actually have the opportunities going through cloud-based gaming to really enjoy the contents there. So that's a great opportunities for a lot of PC contents to penetrate through using cloud-based gaming into the Chinese market. And then you have the PC players who are basically restricted by the PC hardwares, you know, the graphics card and RAMs and all that stuff. So obviously these people no longer need to upgrade, so they will be jumping into the cloud base. And then in China, there are a lot of these internet cafes for people who wanted to play games with friends all together. And basically, they basically just don't have their own PC. They need to have somewhere to use PC and to play games. And these internet cafes constantly need to have investments into their hardwares. And once the cloud-based gaming is up there, and they will no longer need to have those large investments keep upgrading the machines. So lastly, which is the most important part of the market, that mobile games basically occupies about almost 70% of the market share, because there's a lack of a PC content and the lack of a console content. So mobile games right now is the dominant part of the gaming market, though the mobile games kind of technically lack of quality due to the constraints of the hardware of mobile phones. So most of the MMO games being played, they're basically limited by the low-end phone, RAMs and graphics card. So if cloud-based gaming is there, and there will be huge transformations, and also there will be huge needs of a high-quality contents there. So, the advantage of cloud-based gaming, I'm talking here not strictly only for China. I mean, this is for everywhere and on the globe, that what cloud-based gamings will bring us. So no need to download, obviously. So and then cross-platform. And I haven't seen a lot of cloud-based gaming right now. What I have seen on the market is that people just simply port their games, have the client side, so upgrade it to the cloud side, and then so in that sense that these are all just the port cloud-based. There hasn't been much of a native cloud-based gaming on the market yet. So I think there will be a lot more in the future and take advantage of the technology. And so then there will be less adaptive work, meaning that you can use any screen. And most importantly, in China, prevent cheating has always been a problem for all the content productions, and especially for the PC gaming side. And cheating has been a problem, causing the experience deteriorating terribly for a lot of the games, for PUBG and for many games that are coming to China, and just massive, cheating is happening. So cloud-based gaming will completely eliminate that, and will actually have the experience of gaming much better. So lastly is the monetizations. And right now it's free to play, right? And we all know free to play in China is big, and the people are used to with the free to play monetization strategies. Though having cloud-based gaming, there will be a lot of subscription-based that will come into the market. And though the general public and users who are used to with the free to play models will have to be adopted to the new monetization way of paying and enjoy the contents. So, I mean, this is strictly about what the current infrastructures in China's cloud-based gaming infrastructures right now. So these are the drawbacks that's causing delay of having the cloud-based gaming come into the market. So bandwidth requirements is definitely one of the constraints. And for people who are, fast-paced gaming, let's say FPS and all these type of games, cloud-based gaming can still just not be able to really provide you the experience that you want. And whenever you need to react within the split of seconds, and these latencies basically is devastating and detrimental to your gaming experience. So we probably will have to see when 5G is completely implemented, and then we probably will have a much better experience in that sense. And so, of course, at this very moment, the cost of a cloud, especially to the server costs, is still very expensive. So that's why it's only can be streamed at 180p and 30 frames per second. And later on, once 5G is available, and then there's a mass effect when there's a lot of people log on and try to enjoy the cloud-based gaming. And then I think ultimately 4K and 60 frames per second will ultimately be there. And 5G the infrastructure, the buildings all started from about 2 years ago. So the costs and the carrier charges and all that hasn't been coming down yet. So most people are still basically, they want to actually enjoy 5G, and they can only enjoy 5G in certain part of the country, not everywhere. So I do have a slides in the later part of my presentations basically talk about the 5G implementations. So cost of a 5G phone, it's a critical is a critical element of having the popularities of a cloud-based gaming. So NSA is basically means on the top left here is meaning that that's now standard, meaning that 5G is literally sitting on the infrastructure of 4G. And then though starting from Q1 this year, there will be the standard 4G, 5G, meaning that there will be a dual module that if you're in the area whereby you're covered by 4G, then you're using 4G. But if you're in the specific areas whereby 5G network is already implemented, then you're going to be jumping directly into 5G. Of course, you have to be subscribed into the 5G plan. And so the price of the 5G phone is amazingly changed, drastically dropped just throughout a 1 year period. Since, let's say, 80% of the phones are being manufactured in China, this massive fact can cause the average phone costs very drastically drop. So from our observation, end of 2019, from what we can see on the market, it's about 5,000 RMB per actual 5G phone. So the exchange rate between Canadian dollars and RMB currently is sitting at a $1 Canadian to 5 RMB. So we're talking about 1,000 Canadian dollar phone. But at the end of 2020, and also from the market that we have seen, you're already able to actually purchase a $300 phone that basically has a 5G chips in it. So by the end of 2020, there will be at least 100 million phones, regardless whether it's high end, low end, regardless what the price range is. There will be at least 100 million 5G phones basically will be on the market. That kind of paved the roads for potential cloud-based gaming in the future. So this number will basically jump ultimately by 2023 to about 600 million to 700 million. People will be all switching over. So that basically wraps for the part of where the intro session is, and then let's talk about some of the China gaming industry, cloud-based gaming industry overviews. So, as a 5G, you need to have a 5 different elements to be ready there in order for 5G gaming to be having a reasonable experience. So, first of all, you need to have basically telecom and infrastructure carriers there. So China Mobile, China Unicom, China Telecom are the 3 major infrastructures service providers. And so they are basically similar as what we have in Canada, Telus, Rogers, Fido, though Canadian companies are primarily private or public companies, though China Mobile, Unicom, and Telecom, they are state-owned. So whenever we talk about state-owned, we're talking about they're less sensitive in terms of their investment returns from their investments for setting up the 5G. That was the same story when they were setting up the 4G and 3Gs and back in the history. So meaning that they probably will have a much quicker pace of rolling out the 5G network. So our projection is that we in China probably will have 5G deployed entirely at least 2 years ahead of everybody else in the West, in Canada, US, or a major part of Europe. So, and then you have the tech providers, Huawei, we all know him, and Ali, and a few other tech providers. So these tech providers is very similar as Google Cloud, Amazon AWS, and Microsoft Cloud. So just see them as these providers, because China is a very different market. It's a market that is heavily regulated, and then these markets basically created different sets of technology providers, carriers, and everything has basically a copy that you can see as what you have overseas. And then you have the gaming developers, Tencent ADs, us, Perfect Worlds, and a bunch of others. And there are also the developers coming from overseas that also part of the participations for the cloud-based gamings and even now time. And most of the gaming developers from overseas going through local partners because of the regulatory reasons, because they need to get the ISBN, and their local partners will be able to help them to get it, and also for the marketing campaigns. And lastly is the gaming channels. So Huawei, Oppo, these are all phone companies. Each one of them basically considered as a store. So for those of you who are not familiar with the China mobile phone market, that Huawei, Oppo, all these Android-based converted OS systems, they charge 50% from all the IAP that you make from these phones. So it's versus 30% basically for Google Play. So they charge quite a bit. So when 5G kind of roll out, it might have an impact and change to the way how publishing works and how the user media basically reach out to the content. So what does cloud really enhance for all of us in terms of experience? So there will be different gaming platforms allow you to actually have all the big TVs and cell phones and tablets and all that, and most importantly, having cloud ready for everybody. That there's a huge populations who are on the gaming side, about 600 million users. Out of the 600 million users, about 80% of the users have never really played consoles or major PC titles or AAA titles or even AA titles. And they will be overwhelmed by the quality of these AA and AAA games versus the current kind of game they're playing. And I mean, the user behavior is quite different. A lot of Chinese users, they play MMO on their phone, and because the limitations of their cell phones, they just don't really have they don't really know what a better AAA experience is. So having this cloud gaming, and it will definitely lift it up to everybody's tastes and have them to understand what gaming really is, what game content really is. So this is a market information here. So I want to really address here, which is right now the distributions platforms are primarily, especially for mobile, being Apple and being Huawei and being Oppo, Vivo, all these platforms, all these stores, and then the distribution channels will vastly change to a different aura. That let's say Tencent is currently having their own video streaming platform, which is very similar as what Netflix is doing, and iQIYI controlled by Baidu, and Youku controlled by Ali. So these major streaming platforms. Later on, I'm pretty sure that all these streaming platforms will getting into gaming side, and because streaming, it doesn't really matter. You stream video for games or for movies or for TV series. At the end of the day, it's just streaming. So I basically see a potential whereby all these video streaming platforms will start streaming cloud-based games for the users. So I presume that in about 2 years and 3 years of time, and when people log into these video streaming platforms, you will have a vast selection, not only for movies and TVs, you have all these games as well. So being a publisher, how exactly we need to position ourselves for user acquisitions when you actually stream your contents through these video streaming platforms, you have to have a different marketing campaigns, branding campaigns, and user acquisition strategies will have to be different. So all of these will have to shift and change because of this new technology impact. So I would say at the end of the day, cloud-based gaming at this very moment is still early, and we probably will see a lot of integrations might happening in the near future, such as, let's say, Tencent and Tencent's video streamings and all these streaming platforms will probably go upstream and reach out to actually acquire more of contents, and they basically will integrate the content productions and live ops all together with their streaming platforms. So I think capital market wise, there will be a lot of acquisition M&A that will happen domestically, as well as, I mean, Tencent is already kind of going out there and try to buy a bunch of other studios, and basically we're all kind of starting to prepare for this time to come. So what's the challenge here? So the challenge here is, actually, when I say this is a challenge, it may not be a challenge for, let's say, gaming developers in Montreal. it may be opportunities for the developers in Montreal. There's a huge shortage of game diversities and innovations in China because of the constraints, because of the number of because the quality of the hardwares that most of the people, 600 million or 700 million users currently are using. So when they switch over to cloud-based gaming, and there will be they will basically, this will open a door for them to really see a lot of different variety types of games. And I see a lot of Montreal-based studios doing live ops games that are like AA, but very good quality. These type of contents, if they were ever to have opportunities to stream through and to the Chinese audience, I'm pretty sure that it will definitely change the taste of many users. Just 10% or 5% of the general basis, it will be a huge number. And in China right now, I haven't seen any native cloud-based gaming companies that hasn't born yet. So what I consider as a native cloud-based game is that remember back in about 10 years ago when there's like a bunch of handheld devices, let's say Nintendo or PSP, and the mindset of developers that we just simply pour those contents into mobile games, mobile phones, so that it would just make it work on there. And then there's just a bunch of native mobile gaming companies that born. Basically, they create their games completely based on mobile using environments. So that's when we have the Supercells and the Rovios and all these companies come up. So I'm pretty sure that in the near future, there will be a more demand, or I would say more innovations that will be coming out in the game productions completely just based on cloud-based technology. And then lastly is the server cost is still a major concern. So the server cost is the most expensive part of the costs. IDC and bandwidth are actually quite okay, but the server cost is still a concern. I would say within the next 2 to 3 years, we need to see a downward trend of the cost of servers in order for this industry to actually thrive. Wait, sorry, just overflipped another slide. Okay, so basically the 5G deployment basically will complete by the end of 2024. So until 2024, there will be a sort of a half 4G and half 5G. And in the major cities in China, so Shanghai, Beijing, and southern China, Shenzhen, in the central business district, 5G network is already well deployed. But if you go to the second tier cities or relatively to the rural area and those areas, 5G is not there yet. So based on the plans of 3 major service carriers, by the end of 2024, and the entire country will be covered by 5G network. So meaning that by then, there won't be any infrastructure constraints for cloud-based gaming to happen. And because of the capital market habits in China, secondary market and the primary market, that cloud-based gaming is really hot in China. So whenever it's very hot, there will be a lot of money flowing in. So many different kind of platform basically announcing that they're going to be a cloud-based gaming platform. They will be distributing a lot of content. They will be reaching out to the CPs to actually acquire contents. And I'm pretty sure there will be at least 10, 20 different platforms that all of a sudden just popped out within the next 1 or 2 years. So it's going to be quite a bloodbath, I would say, in a way. These competition fighting off each other to try to fight for contents, and this is actually not necessarily a bad thing for CPs, because though CPs will actually have a more choice in terms of where they want to publish the game and where they want to actually stream their game. Though the publishers will need to make sure that all these streaming platforms and all that reach a sort of a balance, so that you want to make sure that your contents or distributions of contents are using the best possible streaming platforms to provide a good experience. And then monetization wise, everybody is kind of switching over to subscription base. So subscription base will definitely have impact on user behavior. So we don't know how that will come up, but I'm pretty sure that in the next couple years, and the people when they start seeing AAA titles and AA titles and good quality games, they will get adopted to it. So just to have a recap here, I think there has always been a challenge for the West CPs to actually jump in to the game to the Chinese markets because of the regulatory constraints, because of the number of consoles and good quality PCs exist in the Chinese market. The market should be a lot larger than what it is right now. So having cloud-based gaming, I think it's a great opportunity for all of the CPs who has good AA or AAA titles to come into China and basically to try to see if they can actually open up a sort of their gold box for more Chinese user to actually see. And the bargaining power of CPs, I think, in China will become higher and higher. Reason being is that because the competitions between the platform and fighting over the content has been for sure that will benefit a lot for the CPs. And this is the thing that we have seen when the video and movie content streaming happens, and all of the platform were chasing after all the movie productions to try to have their contents exclusively streamed on these platforms. So this is where I will stop. There will be a few other contents in the backside of my presentation talking about the technical side of it, but I think this is where I will stop and basically to allow some Q&A for the session. It's actually a great question. So at the end of the day, I think at the interim, we'll see subscriptions for the cloud-based service, and then the game itself probably will still have a whole lot of free-to-play monetizations, meaning that the player will have to choose to which cloud-based gaming service you want to use, and then you go into the games. And then inside the game, the monetizations of the game, some of the games may still be maintained as a free-to-play, but a lot of other games, let's say the single-player campaign games, will be subscription-based. So it probably will have a dual systems that will exist on top of the cloud-based technology. So that's what I think will happen, at least for the next very long time.